Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Women Owned Listed, the podcast. Today we have another interesting episode where we're going to explore a very unique business solution that is going to be helpful for all of us. Especially, it's going to show us a way that we can pay a little bit more attention to our HR practices in our business. To help us with that today, we have Jill Brabner in. Hi, Jill. How are you?
Hi, I'm very well, thank you. Thank
Great,
you.
great. Thank you so much for being here, Jill. If I may, can you tell me a little bit about your business name, and what unique service you offer?
Sure. So, my business is called Resound Training and Development. We celebrated 20 years in business in October. So,
Nice.
we've been around a long time. And what we do is that we create short dramas about workplace issues. So, I've got a team of professional actors, and we go into organisations and businesses and we play out a work story that's relevant to that business that we've been brought in to do. And then we interact with our audience. They can interview the characters, find out more information, and then they redirect the scene. So they stop and start it, they give the actors their direction, and together we co-create the solution to the problem that we've shown them. And we also run those sessions online as well. So it's a lot of fun, it's really immersive, and people get, they build that emotional connection with the characters, so they're invested in the outcome, and it's just a fantastic way to learn.
Wow, that is really a unique business that's definitely addressing a need. And you did mention that you have a little bit of a background in HR. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, that's where I started my career many years ago, and I'm a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Personnel and Development here in the UK. So yeah, that was my original background. Then I moved over to learning and development, but most of our work is around those important management conversations and conversations to address inappropriate behaviours in workplaces. So a lot about culture, a lot about performance management, yeah, that type of thing.
You know, Jill, I think this is something that especially large business needs. Oh, wow, what a great resource you are to be able to work out visually with characters some of the scenarios that people face at work. Because, as you probably know, the workplace sometimes can be really toxic.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And it just affects everyone so much, doesn't it? We spend so many hours at work that if you're in a toxic situation, that can impact your health. Yeah, it's huge, isn't it? So, and we want to give managers the skills to have really effective conversations, but to do that well. Because when
Right.
you've got a happy team, when the team are motivated, then of course performance is going to be great. And it's in those toxic situations where things can go really wrong.
Yeah, and I really strongly feel that the role of HR in the workplace is highly underestimated. Underestimated by the management teams, underestimated by the staff, but most importantly, underestimated by the HR professionals themselves. I recently completed a course in study and preparation for the SHRM CP exam, which is one of the standards for HR practices here in the United States, but I do believe they're international. I don't know if you use them in the UK.
That's not one I'm familiar with, but the sort of the CIPD is the main professional body for HR here. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But I'm
so
sure
it would.
there's similarities.
Right, right. Some, other places use HRCI or what have you. And I really did enjoy reading over a lot of the material. And I found that, it's like, oh, we all know what to do and what to say, especially the HR professionals. We've been trained on that. But then when it comes to the real life, it just oftentimes doesn't happen. And I really do believe that our HR professionals can be champions for change in the workplace. Sometimes you need that upper level management buy-in, and sometimes you have to be willing to really push for that. And it does mean you're sticking your neck out on the table. We get that. But I definitely want to thank you for offering this service. Now, could you tell us perhaps some of your successes that you've had where you've used this program, and maybe some, I'm not sure if you could give us the names, you don't have to, but successes that you've seen with your clients who've used your service to affect change in their businesses?
So over the years, we've addressed all the really difficult subjects such as bullying and harassment. Recently, we've done a lot of work around sexual harassment to raise awareness.
I'm sorry to interrupt here, but we've got something important to say. At WomenOwnedListed.com, our mission is to empower and uplift women entrepreneurs by providing a dynamic platform to showcase and connect their businesses to a broader audience. We are committed to fostering a community of support. We aim to create a lasting network where women entrepreneurs can succeed and inspire the next generation of business leaders. Are you a woman entrepreneur looking to elevate your business? Join WomenOwnedListed.com today. List your business and join over 800 female business owners who are strengthening their presence by joining our platform. Share your story and expertise with our audience by being interviewed on our podcast. Let's amplify your voice and inspire others. Hit the like button, subscribe on podcasts, subscribe on YouTube, join our mailing list, and get your business listed now to take the next steps in pushing your business forward.
Awareness of those behaviours in organisations and what managers need to do to prevent that and to protect their staff. We had a new duty put on employers in October here in the UK, which requires them to actually take steps to prevent those behaviours. But also we've done a lot of work, as I said, around performance management, around sickness, around addressing sickness absence, and also well-being. So conversations around employee well-being, mental health, and they can have a huge impact on people. And we've seen the difference in the way that managers now have those conversations. And we've got a model that we created to support managers have better conversations. So I'm happy to talk through it if that would be useful for your audience. So
please.
So we simply call it ECA, and that stands for Empathy, Care, Action. Because what we know is when managers demonstrate a level of empathy, then they build rapport and trust really quickly. If they really listen to the other person's perspective, that makes their team member feel really valued, so they're far more likely to trust them and to be willing to sort of discuss issues with them. And it's also about letting people know that you care, and not in a fluffy way, but care about outcomes, care about results, care about the contribution your team needs to make to the business, and of course caring about the individuals in the team. So we've got empathy and we've got care, and within care there's a great little question that you can ask, and I really encourage your viewers and listeners to try it out for themselves. But the question is, what matters to you? It's such a simple thing, but if you find out what matters to your team members and you know what's motivating them, you know what's driving them, you're so much better informed about how to manage them. And during COVID, we did a little piece of research with our clients. So we went out to HR directors and we said to them, what matters to you? And we got back these corporate messages, what matters to us is that the workforce are okay and they stay healthy. We want the business to survive, be sustainable, all of these important messages. And then we followed it up with and what matters to you right now. And then we got, well, my health, how I'm doing in this, my family, how we're going to come through this time. So yeah, try it. It's what matters to you. And then the follow-up question is, and what matters to you right now? What matters most to you right now? And then you get the thing that is really important to that person. And you can use it when you're trying to solve problems together, when you're looking at performance, key performance indicators and so on. You could say, you could even use it, we've used it when we're addressing complaints with somebody. You can say, well, look, tell me your perspective on what happened here. Okay, thank you. This is my perspective. This is what I have to manage as the team leader, as the manager. But then to say, so in this situation, what matters to you? And what matters most to you right now? And then you've opened the door to working together to find a solution that is actionable and which gets things moving in the right direction. So yeah, I encourage everyone to put that into a conversation and see how it goes. And then obviously when we come to action, it's looking for actions either which that other person you can empower them to take that right action for themselves, or if that's not within the scope of what they do, then it's taking action on that person's behalf. So yeah, empathy, care, action. Empathy, make sure you understand that other perspective. Build rapport and trust really fast, simply by paying that other person your full attention and listening to what they're going to say. And then within care, you're letting them know you care about outcomes, you care about the contribution, you care about them as well as individuals. And that includes their well-being and their fitness to work. And that little question about what matters, and then really working together to find the right action that needs to be taken to move things forward. And it's just work's a treat.
I mean, it really, it's so encouraging to hear you say that, especially with your years of experience in HR. And I think that the action part is something that, a lot of people who work in corporate, they've had the situations come up and they go to HR and they get all the nice words, but then the actions never seem to match. So it's very encouraging to hear you say that. Again, just kind of reviewing something that I saw on the examination. One of the questions was, Bill, just recently had a baby, and maybe he forgot to put in his time off request, and so what do you do? Do you tell him that he didn't put it in enough time, and that him being out for another 3 weeks might interrupt the team, or do you grant him the request of blah blah blah? So I thought, in line with having empathy and really building rapport with your workforce, that the right answer would be give him the time off. This is what makes sense to most people who value family time and all of that. The correct answer was actually to deny the request. And I found that to be so disgusting, and this is why we have people getting so angry in HR. So we really need businesses like yours, because what I find happens is, Jill, is that the HR team, when they are in-house, they're getting so much pressure from the higher ups that they always end up conforming to whatever they want. They don't have the strength to push back. But when the high ups will bring in someone like you, who bring in someone as a strategic partner to say, look, here's how we're going to actually get through these challenges. These are actions that you guys actually have to change to make people happy. Those are the companies that do a lot better. We see the statistics, the folks who are embracing flexible work schedules or on-demand work schedules. Show up when you can, as long as you get the job done in 8 hours, or whatever, then you're fine. people who are embracing that are winning right now. It's the dinosaurs who are still holding on to, hey, you guys have to be in your chair at your screen 10 hours a day, no questions asked, da 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 da. Those businesses are the ones that really are losing now. So, can you tell us a little bit more about your services? Because I know you're located in the UK. Does that prevent all of us here in the States from being able to hop on board with you?
No, not at all, I'm pleased to say. So we have worked with some global clients, which has been amazing, and we've run all of our sessions online now on
Okay.
Teams and Zoom. I mean, for years we did them face to face, and we still do some of that, but mostly we run our sessions online via Microsoft Teams and Zoom. And typically we'll have 20 or 30 people come on the call. We'll have the actors there in character, and I facilitate the session. And we'll play out the scenario, and typically we have sort of 3 characters in our scenarios, and they will be calling each other as if they are calling on video call. They're all working remotely in our scenarios, and they're simply dialing into meetings. So it's a very familiar setup for everybody. We've all used those platforms. We've all worked from homes at a different time. And then the conversations play out from there. And then we simply invite people, as I said, to interact with the characters, and then we go into the redirection. But all the time we're being mindful around what we're trying to achieve, supporting people to develop the skills to have more effective conversations about those issues. And the scenarios are layered, so because to reflect real work life, there's always more layers to the story, which makes it really interesting. And if the audience ask the characters open questions, and they sort of dig a bit deeper for some information, they'll find that there's a backstory to uncover, and that will give them more information about what's really going on. So depending on the timings, sometimes we'll go into breakout groups and explore it a bit more. The chat's always really busy, but people can certainly, when we go to the redirection, it gets very busy with people wanting to give direction to the actors and try different things out. And people really get stuck in, they really enjoy it, but importantly it's memorable because it makes an emotional connection. People remember it, and we get that all the time. So I had a client only recently get back in touch after years saying, oh, you delivered a session for us, I can't remember how long ago it was, but people still talk about it, could you come and do that again?
Wow,
So
that's great.
Memory, being memorable is so important within learning. So now within the field of learning and development, people tend to be either building online resources for quick learning, when we go and find a YouTube video, or we look at a document because we need to know something or know how to do something now. Or we need learning experiences. We need the opportunity to be immersed in that learning experience, to feel connected, and to be able to recognise something of ourselves and something of our organisation in the scenario. And that's really key, because we work really hard to make sure that there's something that people will recognise, either about themselves or about work life in their organisation, that they can say, oh yeah, that there's somebody like that in my team, or yes, that's the sort of thing I've seen happen around here. And once people recognise something, then it's meaningful for them, and they can really think about what they would do differently, and what they would take away from it.
Absolutely.
Ultimately, it's all about the learning and applying the learning, isn't it, within their role. I mean, from an HR perspective, you'll know this, that, but that's what we need to do, is to support people to improve the level, the type of conversations they're having, get better outcomes when they're managing performance or sickness, etc.
Absolutely. I mean, HR really is the liaison between the employees and upper management. And the goal is always to act like that strategic partner and be there to, help the employees get what they need and help the company also be a success. And the companies that are able to embrace that school of thought really can do well, especially in these times. I know that the UK kind of probably does a lot better in this area. You have more leave available and things like that. In the US, sometimes it's a little bit less, although things are changing. So I think, again, for all you ladies listening, if you are a woman owned business, well, first of all, I'm going to say something a little naughty here. The women owned businesses in general don't struggle in this area as much because they're more understanding. They understand maternity leave. They understand you have a sick family member. They understand. So they generally will do a little bit better than the traditional male led board that's much less understanding and usually only thinking about the bottom line. But ladies, if you have a company, especially one that has a sizable workforce, consider giving Jill a call because, for your HR leaders, they need to see these scenarios played out. Maybe you have someone on your team who isn't a mother, so maybe they would deny a maternity request. So anyway, it really is something that's very important. And I think our HR leaders really need to give Jill a call because, again, people don't realize the HR leaders are the ones who are really keeping everybody in the job. Let's say you're an HR manager for, I don't know, Walmart. If you've got the way you act is going to dictate how happy thousands of people's lives are. Okay, the decisions you make, and HR leaders have to realize that. And so you've got to lead with empathy, caring, concern, but also at the same time, how do we take that but still reach the company's bottom line? And I think hiring someone like Jill, having her come in as a consultant for your business is definitely going to help you with that. So Jill, you did say that you have some webinars coming up this in the new year that folks can take advantage of. Could you really quick give us your website and how the listeners can
Sure.
get to these free webinars?
Sure. So just go to the website, which is resoundtraining.co.uk, and there you'll see a tab of free resources, and you can join the waiting list for our next webinar. You can download our ECA model, Empathy Care Action, which gives you all the information about the model and how to embed it in your conversations. We've got our YouTube channel, so there's lots of free resources on there, a quiz for leaders, and so have a look at those. And if you have any questions, just send me a message via the contact form. I'd be delighted to hear from any of your listeners and viewers, and of course, I'll respond to any questions. So yeah, get in touch.
Okay, Jill. Well, hey, I want to thank you so much for being here today and telling us about your lovely business that is so needed, Resound Training and Development. Thank you for the work that you're doing. It's an important work. Don't underestimate this, guys. The HR leaders are very important in society. Okay.
So true. Thank you.
You're welcome. I want to thank you so much for listening to Women Owned Listed. Take care, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you.